Welcome to episode 2 of the Shednanigans podcast, the only podcast that is FDA approved to sit here and listen to while you wait for the edibles to kick in. I'm your host, Daniel Duke. If anybody else wants to introduce themselves while I post on Discord that we're live.
Hi, I'm
I
Brad. I'm
wouldn't,
eating noodles.
I wouldn't like to introduce myself to anyone because consent, but I'm Fallen.
You know what? Fuck the introduction. Go watch episode 1. You'll know who we are. Same fucking people.
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
gonna do that tonight. Upload episode 1 onto YouTube as well as this one, and then I still gotta look into like what are actual podcast services that people use. There's a million podcast services, but I don't know
Anchor.
what anybody cares about. There's
I
Anchor.
can do
There's
some Googling for you because you're a
Nah.
slacker.
I'm a slacker. I still have Gears episodes to edit that I'm working on, but I'm still trying to find a good clip of Marcus screaming so I can add it to my crash counter. So every time Brad crashes, I can have Marcus scream and the number goes up.
Oh man, I gotta go change my fucking RAM card back out then.
Before
But
we
you
get
know, like-
to Gears 4 so we can continue the counter.
exactly. But do not mind the podcast platform. Just upload it to a fucking USB and throw it to the street. And whoever is unfortunate enough to find it, it's going to be your listener.
just do a dead drop, like leave it in some gutter between some buildings, and then somebody finds it, and then every month they come back and they find a new USB, and it's like, oh shit, episode 2, episode 3.
I feel like it would just be police expecting like a ransom video.
At least look at the bright side. If it was, or if it is the police, we're going to have at least 2 watchers
That's good.
instead of one.
I think they'd watch to the end though.
Maybe, who knows? Maybe they are thinking at the start. Maybe this is some codes for something, or I don't know, like, and they are like getting like in, and at the end they are like, I wasted my time.
Well, it's like manual reviews on YouTube. Like you go and you flag a video of like 10 hours of watching paint dry as inappropriate. Somebody's got to come and sit down and watch all 10 hours of that to confirm that this
Exactly.
is in fact not offensive. And then they go
How
home
they
and
are
they're like,
going
I
to
just
know?
watched paint dry for 10 hours and this is literally my job.
How are they going to know that there isn't child pornography in this video? Like, they do not know until they watch until the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Who
They
knows?
gotta,
Oh, like you're gonna name the file child pornography, and then you're gonna make them watch it.
Exactly, like wait until hour and 20 to get the drive link to child pornography or something like that. And
No,
they're
you
like,
can't
"Oh."
you can't give them a time point because then they're just gonna skip to it. You gotta just make them watch the whole thing.
No, but it can be like a ruse. They are going to okay 120, and they skip to 120, and we're still talking shit, and they are like, oh, maybe it was earlier, or maybe it is late. Who knows?
starting off strong again. Indeed, we are. Yeah, no, this podcast is sponsored by piddlerdiddlers.com. More on that later.
Man, you just gave me
Not
a
more
great
on that
idea for
later.
like a choose your own adventure podcast where it's like we pretend to argue or something and it's like, skip to 36:15 for what happens with your choice.
Skip to minute 30 if you want to see Dan win this conversation. If you want to see Crab win this conversation, skip to minute 40.
Do you want to hear them talk about jerking off or pubic hair?
Just listen to the whole thing.
Yeah, and then they're just gonna listen to it in one shot, like straight through, and it's just gonna be like incoherent babbling.
Isn't
totally
that what we
scripted.
do anyways?
Yeah,
More
that's
incoherent.
that's about the gist of it.
So, I hear that Brett had something to talk about, like something that is nagging him that doesn't let him sleep at night.
Yes, tell us about getting jabbed. for the
Oh
second
yeah,
time.
yeah, you're real spot on about the sleep tonight. Dan, did I tell you that?
No, I don't.
I didn't update you today. I know I saved it for tonight.
No.
Yeah, so I was like, I'd say in the first 8 hours I was just like slowed, like kind of foggy mentally, but not too bad. But around 9 o'clock, I started just shaking and shivering uncontrollably, and then I kind of like heated up intensely, like I was just like hugging a heating pad the whole time.
You are a fucking
So
gladiator at that point.
yeah, literally. Like my girlfriend said, I was pretty much like hot, like burning to the touch if she were to like hold her hand on me. And then I kind of went to bed with that fever. It was like when she took my temperature, like a borderline fever. But keeping me up all night. I'm glad you said that, because I literally had the same fucking dream on repeat. All like 10 hours I slept, and it was all like a half awake dream, so it was just a miserable time.
Oh, I love fever dreams. I'll talk about my childhood fever dream, but you tell us about this dream if you want.
I wish it was something like coherent enough to even describe. It was like just a repeat feeling of like working and like there's a ton of stuff you have to do, and then you work and you grind and you look at the pile and there's a ton of stuff to do. And it was kind of like half work related, like I was just building without doing anything.
Everything that could happen could pass through your mind. It has to be work. Like, you are very tired of your work and you are like resting from a sickness and whatnot. You know
It
what
was
will
it
be
was like
better?
picturing it was like picturing the same object over and over, but not really doing anything with it.
Oh yeah, that sounds exactly like the fever dream I had as a kid that I was going to mention. Back when I was like 13, I think I had pneumonia, and like one night I just had this awful fever dream. Could not sleep for the life of me, and just like rolling around and constantly like dreaming about the same thing over and over again. And that thing
Yeah,
was
like you're half
cheeseburgers.
awake. Like you're half awake and you can't break that like thought cycle.
Thanks for the host, Crab.
I realized I wasn't hosting you, so I clicked the button.
I appreciate it. Maybe if somebody's wondering what you're doing on a Saturday night, they might find out.
I don't know if they want to know what crap involves himself in Saturday night.
Look, my chat knows already that I am a toxic bastard and will stop at nothing to prove that to them every day when I do this.
Yeah, but
They
they do
basically
not
know
know.
every Saturday night he goes and like ruins some dick's podcast.
Yep, that's exactly what I do.
But do they know that you are a degenerate, or that you gather with a bunch of degenerates?
I'll guarantee it.
I'm called a degenerate every night.
Yeah, no, he
Okay.
streams real degen hours these days.
Yeah.
He's right up there with Patty,
Oh
going live at
god.
like 4 in the morning.
Yeah,
Those
he doesn't even
are
sleep
peak
correctly
hours.
anymore.
So Fallen, when's the last fever dream you remember having?
I never had a fever dream. Like, I
Oh,
just zone out.
oh well, look at this guy.
Like, I'm very sick, or I'm on an hospital, in a hospital, or maybe I don't know, I had been struck by a car or something, and I'm very ill, and I'm like, I'm going to zone out.
You can't
That,
just
that,
roll around constantly miserable on repeat.
no, like something that happened to me when I was a child, and I do not know how to describe it, or how is it called. It was like paralysis. I do not know.
Sleep paralysis?
I'm not sure, because I was able to move and feel things, but
Hmm.
I wake up and I hear someone, okay, not someone, everyone is screaming at me. Like, if someone told me something, or say something to me when I was a child, they were screaming, and I could like feel it in my body, and I would get really anxious and start to cry, but I was conscious that nothing was nothing of that was real, and I was like crying but with no reason, and
So you're having like a PTSD flashback.
like maybe yeah,
You
like
weren't in your bed. You were in numb.
and the sensation on the body on my body was like imagine that someone is like squishing you really fucking hard, but all the parts of your body. That was like the sensation. And I was barely able to breathe, and everything like sounded like they were screaming at me, like yeah, like even if they were my parents, like are you doing well, sweetie? And I was like fuck.
That
And
sounds like a panic attack to me.
maybe I do not know how to describe it, and it was at middle of the night and happened to me maybe 3 times in my childhood and never happened again. Happened once, like I was like 16, but I was more conscious and I was like, oh, this is going to suck, and I just
Like,
closed my
oh
door.
shit, not this again.
Yeah, I that was like I said to myself, this is going to suck. So I screamed really loudly, I'm going to have this, whatever is happening, I'm going to close myself in my room. No one talked to me, and I was just laying on my bed and watching the ceiling in complete silence. And it worked.
Did you
So
have like
yeah.
a fucked up childhood or something where like you got screamed at a lot?
I can tell you
I don't know if these are
with
things that we
certainty.
should be unpacking for the public here.
I
No,
do
it's
not
great. It's
fucking
like a
care,
therapy
right?
cast now.
The internet is the best place for childhood therapy.
Well,
So
obviously.
yeah, like let's talk about childhood therapy after we speak about child pornography. That sounds very fucking sensical.
Oh, what a great way to redirect, Fallen.
Yeah, but I can tell you 100% certainly that I'm not loved by my parents. They stand me and they treat me like a
You're not
person.
loved?
So this is going to sound weird. They do not hate me, but they do not love me. They treat me like, oh yeah, you are someone that we know. I don't know, a friend or maybe a coworker, but not a son.
Wow, you're like a fucking acquaintance to them. That's brutal.
Exactly. So I just got used to that, and that was all my childhood. For example, I was very depressed when I was a child because of that, and I tried to get good grades or maybe prizes or plaques or really awesome things. I have like a lot of I had because I burned them because at this point they do not mean anything to me. To prizes to impress to make them proud. I'm going to choose that word, and it didn't
How,
work. Like, oh, why you are not
how
like
about
more
they?
like your fault?
How about
Uh-huh.
they settle for you taking care of them while they literally have COVID?
So we're going to take that topic like later, but they're like, yeah, thank you, because they are good human beings. Like they are grateful, but they are no, oh, thank you, my son, I love you. La, la, la. No, they are like, oh, okay, thank you very much. And
See that at least you can say your parents are good human beings. Like I don't know if I could say the same for my parents. I mean they're not like criminals or outright like fucking awful people, but at the same time like I feel like they skipped a few lessons when it came to like learning to be a decent person. But it's like my relationship with my parents, like I got along a lot better with my parents when they stopped being my parents. Like as soon as I moved out and was on my own and living my own life and didn't have to deal with them every day, like I suddenly got along with them a lot better. And like I talk to them now as if like the same way I would talk to most of my friends, and like I care about them and they care about me, but like my relationship with them right now is like night and day compared to what it was when I was growing up. And like I said,
I hear that can be kind of common where like you get along with someone like when you're not living together, but like you just don't mesh with how you live.
oh yeah, and same with like I had an old roommate that like He's a great guy, one of my best friends, but like living with him did not work out very well.
I can imagine, like, what the fuck, dude? Why do you have your trousers in the fucking sink?
Well, there
Yes.
was one time where so like before we moved in together, he knew we had snakes. Like we had snakes for a couple years before that. He's seen us pull frozen rats out of our freezer and like watched us feed the snakes before. Like he knew what he was getting into. But like,
Mhm.
you know, you feed your snake frozen rats, where do you keep the rats? In the freezer. And one day like he was just like digging through the freezer trying to see like what was in there and stuff, and he pulls out the shopping bag that we keep our frozen rats in, and he's like, oh, what's in here? Opens it up and it's a bunch of dead rats, and he's like, oh shit. And then he takes it outside and buries it in the snow, which I guess I'm thankful that there was snow at the time, because you know, it would have sucked to lose a batch of food for the snake. But yeah, like we come home and he's like, "Yeah, I buried your rats out in the backyard. I didn't want them in the freezer." And I'm like, "They've been there for like 6 months, dude. Like, they're not causing you any problems."
They are sanitized rats. You are
Yeah,
not going to contract anything for them being in the freezer. Like, okay, if it were anyone else, like, what the fuck? They have rats on their fridge, but he knew. What the
yeah. I mean,
fuck?
I'm not gonna lie. That is that like if you're gonna keep frozen rats in your freezer and you've got roommates, that's something that you got to talk to them about. But I figured I didn't have to have this conversation with him. He knew, like he'd seen it before, and like he
Yeah, it
never
sounds like something he
expressed
was cool
any.
with when it was just your house.
Yeah, like he never expressed any like sort of disgust to it. Like he was always fascinated with feeding the snakes, and like he does research. Like he works with rats. Like, you know, I don't understand. Yeah. Also, he was a neuroscience student and worked with rat brains all the time. Like, come on, dude. It's just a
you,
frozen rat.
you have seen worse. uh,
Yeah, he's the guy. Like when I was painting some of my miniatures, I had to paint a brain, and like I use a sort of like wintry theme with my stuff. So I messaged him
You
like,
say
"Hey man."
wintry theme with my brains.
Oh yeah, so I messaged him and I was like, "Yeah, like do you know what a frozen brain looks like? Do you have any pictures?" And he's like, "Yeah, here you go." And like takes a picture of what he was literally working with at the time. Was like he just went over to the fridge in his lab, pulled out some frozen rat brains and sent me some pictures, and he was like, "Oh, that's cool. Thanks, dude."
so a normal conversation with some other person of how are you doing, dear, or do you want to get out? And meanwhile, in Canada somewhere, a dude messaging his girlfriend, can you send me a frozen brain picture? Oh yeah, of course. Pretty
Well, he
normal.
was the frozen brain guy, so obviously he's who's he gonna ask.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
like if I need to know what a brain looks like, he's the guy studying brains. I should ask him first.
Could you
He's
ask
the
him?
guy.
Could you ask him how it guts looks like?
Well, I don't know how much he works with the rest of the insides of the brain of the rats, so and I don't really need I don't really need to have references for that sort of thing, at least not yet.
You do not paint that gut yet. And
Don't
what
worry,
about crab? Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say just I've got a few Marines around here that I plan on tearing apart and making look like they met a very unfortunate end. So eventually I'll need those pictures. Anyway, Crab, you've
So
been a little quiet. You tired?
No, I'm pretty awake. I just don't have anything to talk about when it comes to frozen brains. I'm a math and physics and computer science guy.
okay, so let's get a step back. What about your childhood?
My childhood, I spent a
Yeah,
lot of it
Crab. How
doing
did your parents
nothing.
fuck you up?
Oh, they left me to my own devices for the most part, and I became a very reclusive, anxious and depressed individual, and therefore I take medication now for it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you've come to terms with it.
Yes.
Okay,
And by
very
terms, we
straightforward.
mean pills.
That is the brand of the pills. Terms.
Term brand pills, perfect for all your childhood drama.
Uh, so
But no fever dreams at all.
I don't remember any of them. I get them fairly frequently, but then again, before I started taking this medication, every night I would just have like horrific nightmares, and that was just my night.
So
Oh, like
you're
that was
accustomed
business
to
as
them.
usual.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was my teen years, and then I started smoking weed.
So
Huh?
Apparently, we're supposed to be having like way duller dreams with smoking weed.
I beg to differ with that. I definitely have more acceptable dreams, but like there's times where like I'm sure I'm dreaming, but I'm not, like I don't remember anything. And there's other times where like I wake up and I remember what I was dreaming about, and like my God, it's fucking weird. Of course I don't remember any of it because that's how dreams work, but like I especially recently, like I've been waking up to go to work and like having a hard time distinguishing the difference between dream and reality, which is honestly concerning.
I was
Have
going
you
to
been
Just a
like
wee
sleeping
bit.
enough?
Yeah, I've been like for the first time in my life for the last year, I've actually managed to get more than enough sleep on a regular basis, which is actually weird for me. But
So
like
what makes you think that you are in a dream? Like you have what is the thing that makes you think, or
Oh,
does it
easy.
make you distinguish
So in
between a
my
dream?
dreams, yeah, the first thing I do is I go for a light switch, and if it doesn't work, dream.
So if there is a power shortage in your area, it's a fucking dream. It's like it's what you're telling me.
Well, so you can tell because you go for every light switch, and they all won't work.
It's,
yeah, like there's a bunch of different ways that like you can convince your body to lucid dream. I don't know at what point I started with it, but it was like a few years after I had learned about lucid dreaming, and it's weird. I don't know how to exactly describe it, but basically, like I'm aware from the start that I'm asleep and dreaming if I'm going to be lucid dreaming, and you know, it like the whole time I just sort of roll with what's going on, and I'm aware that I'm having a dream, but then when I wake up, that's when like I have like I remember the dream, and I'm thinking to myself like, did that actually happen? Like unless something like it's a dream about something weird and absurd, like obviously like if I have a dream about demons attacking my city, I'm not going to wake up in the morning and be like, man, did that really happen? But
Hey,
like
did you guys read about that demon attack in the news?
yeah, but like if it's just like something mundane, like you know me going about my day and like a couple weird things happen, I'll wake up and I'll be like, wait, like I remember this as if I was actually there, and like this actually happened, and I have to tell myself, no, this was a dream that you're just remembering very vividly because like you literally just had it.
Do you ever make like fake dream memories while you have in your dream a memory of another dream, but you can't tell if that was really a dream?
I think you just broke me. Are we
Well,
so
see,
watching Inception right now?
Inception is what you. Yeah, exactly.
I'll have a dream where like I'll be in like a familiar setting, like I've used it before for another dream, and I'll remember like a completely brand new, like just made up area. It's like, oh, that was part of that other dream. But then I wake up and I'm like, I don't think I just made that up there.
Yeah, Ree says she has that. Now that you describe it, yeah, like I've definitely had that sort of thing. Like for some reason one location that recurs in my dreams every now and again is like one of my childhood friends, their backyard. And it was just because like when like for a couple years in grade school, like we'd go over to his house and hang out in the backyard every night. And so it just kind of stuck with me. And on top of that, like I had this one nightmare one time where like And I think it was probably the first time that I ever dreamed about being in his backyard. But like I remember, like we were in his backyard and there was like a giant spider that spun around like Sonic the Hedgehog, and it was terrifying at the time. But in hindsight, sounds hilarious. And we based like the entire dream was just like us running around his pool in his backyard, like trying to avoid this spider that rolled around at a ridiculous speed. Rolled around at
So
the speed of sound.
that was your subconscious trying to fight the idea that you're a furry.
Yes, when I was like
Okay.
8 years old. But yeah, since then, like I've always had dreams about his backyard, and like most of the time he won't even be there anymore. I don't even talk to the guy. Like I haven't talked to him in years. But like
You-
if I look around and like I'm in that backyard, I'm like, yeah, I'm having a dream. And then usually the first thing I do in those dreams is get up and walk away.
Do you
why
ever
you do?
have it?
Why do you?
You keep going, yeah.
Okay, why don't you just chat about with him? Like, how is life? Tell me about it. Do you miss the old times when you used to chase me? Instead of running from him, you just sit and chat with the thing. Like, it has been a long day, like, a long time. How are
so
you
you,
doing? How is the family?
so you think I should sit down and have a conversation with Spider Sonic?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha. Next time I see him, I'll let him know you pushed me
What if
towards.
instead of that you have like a brutal nightmare of getting like murdered and destroyed by the spider, and then you just wake up in like a sweat?
Well, then I'll know that that was a bad idea, and I'll promptly tell Fallen before I forget about
I should have run.
Like
it.
he wakes up and fuck you, and he will never speak to me again.
Yeah, I got a bunch of recurring dreams that all take place in like childhood locations, and I'm finding the older I get, the more like I can feel those memories drifting from what like reality was.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely feel that. Like I know exactly where that backyard is, and if I went there again, like it wouldn't look the same as like I remember it. And even now, like if I did see it, like I would think more of the dream than like all the actual times that I had hanging out with my friends in that backyard.
That's the other weird thing to think of. You spend more time in your life dreaming about these places than like
In those
actually being
places.
there.
Yeah. No, it's like, for me, it's not weird because actually you spend more time sleeping than other things. So it
I
kind of
mean,
makes sense to me.
you spend a third of your life sleeping, and that upsets a lot of people. But personally, I like sleeping, so I'm not too upset about it.
Sleep
Make
is for the
it
weak.
Right?
make it like a half of my life just sleeping.
If I could make sleeping illegal and not required, I would do it. Sleeping should not exist.
Yeah.
No,
When I
I
when I was in school, I definitely felt that. It was like we'd be sitting in the practice rooms, just like going on for like 3 hours, and then we stop, take a break, and it's like, man, wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to eat or sleep or like literally do
Dude,
anything other
I
than
had that when
practice?
I came back off my surgery. I was like, man, I gotta start eating again. Like there was this whole other chore. It's like, all right, that's back.
You could
Ah,
just do what I
fuck.
do and just forget to eat for like 3 days in a row.
And you wonder
Yeah,
why
but
you're
then you
not
die.
healthy.
Well, I mean, you can go without food for a while. It's the water where you start dying very quickly.
I definitely noticed like a significant increase in my health and like my ability to sleep and just like mental fortitude when I started making a point of eating more. I haven't been
Yep.
eating as much recently, so I need to do that again.
Yeah, that's the starvation mode that your body goes into.
Yeah.
so if I'm obese, like I'm a fucking sphere, I will sleep more.
I think statistically they do. Yes, they don't tend to move a lot.
It takes them a lot of
Okay.
energy to, do things, so it tires them out real quick.
Okay. So they are living the dream, literally. They are living the dream, literally. So I wanted to ask, like from 10 minutes ago, Dan.
Yeah.
What happened? What like crossed your mind to put that title on your stream?
Well, you said it, and I needed a title, so I put that down.
Okay, so
It's like, if life
it's just
gives
like
you lemons, get a bra. And it's like, I've never heard that before, but that sounds all right. Let's do that.
okay. Uh, so you don't. I don't know. Do you want to speak about something, Crab? Because you have been like really quiet, and
Yeah, I don't
knowing
want to.
you, that cannot be helpful or healthy for all of us.
Yeah, it's definitely a stray from the norm. I don't want to. I don't want to make you uncomfortable if you don't have anything to talk about. But like, we like, we're all friends here. You like, all topics are open so long as it's not going to get us banned.
I cannot make promises one way or the other, but no, I just don't really remember a lot of my dreams, so I just don't have much to add in for the dreams.
That's
know.
all right.
Yeah, it's I just have lived with nightmares my whole life, so it's
Okay, so
that's
what
all I
has
have.
been your strangest nightmare that you
Uh,
can remember?
I don't know. I remember this dream to where I was beating up a bunch of children trying to get to save Courtney. I don't know. For some reason, I was trying to get to Courtney and I was being swarmed by a bunch of 6-year-olds and I'm just punching and kicking at them. I was like, "Fuck off, you little bastards!"
It's like you did that test of like how many fifth graders can you take in a fight, and
Exactly.
that just stuck with you for a bit too long that it
I
should have.
don't know why I had that dream. It's just that's the first thing that popped into my mind. Was like, what dreams have I had? Like, there's like in the back of my mind, I can picture the dream I had like 3 days ago, but I don't know how to put it into words. And it's like I remember old high school people being in there, and I know like why they're in there because I think about them a lot. But
I get that. Like, my dreams are very often abstract. Like, it's very rare that I get dreams that are like tangible enough that I could tell it to somebody. But there are a few nightmares that I've had, and there's one in particular that like I always remember just because of how fucking weird it was. But it was when I was in high school, and I was playing a shit ton of Gears at the time, and I was having a bad day. So I went to bed, and I had this really weird nightmare where like me and like all my classmates were lined up in this like weird execution thing. But like how they were doing it was like there were two lines that converged with each other, and then where they converged, like two people, they'd be handed like frag grenades from Gears of War that you could like hit people with, and they'd stick onto them. So like the two people up at the front of the line would be given these grenades, and then they'd stick the grenades to each other, and then just stand there and wait for both of them to blow up. And then like I'm in line, sitting here like waiting to get to the front while I'm watching people just blow each other up with grenades. And like that dream makes no sense to anybody who's never played Gears of War and understands what a fucking sticky grenade is.
what
Like,
about Halo?
I
I
guess,
was going to say that.
but you don't melee the sticky grenades onto people in Halo. Is the thing. So
You
it's
could.
yeah. But I guess that is another frame of reference that I could give people if they had never played Gears of War. But the point is, it's fucking weird. And like at the time, like when I had the dream, I was terrified. But in hindsight, I can't help but laugh.
I just think you just wanted to blow your friends up.
I mean, I just think from Crab that he wants to beat children, but everyone
Children
does.
are nasty little creatures that are meant to be turned into shoes.
It's true, can confirm. I have a little brother.
I do
And
too.
we interacted with him.
Yes, we did. Oh god.
Wait, I didn't. I did not run into this child. All I know is I kept that penis sculpture that Brett put into the thingy in my basement.
Yeah,
Hidden
don't
from
worry.
him.
He was not smart enough to learn how to actually like play Minecraft, so in the end it was all right. But yeah, like he came over and played, and Fallen just happened to be on the server at the time, and like I had to sit there and tell him like, don't kill the sheep. That's not a nice thing to do. Of course, he goes home and plays on his own, and the only thing he does is kill the sheep and logs off. I was like, you motherfucker.
Did he just like wander around punching things?
Yeah,
No,
no, like
if
I'm
you
trying to teach him
remember,
how to play, and like a cow goes by, and he's like that's the only thing that he wants to do, and like I'm trying to teach him about like tools and how to make things and stuff like that, and he comes by the Nether portal, and I'm like, don't go in there, you're gonna die, and he's like, I'm gonna go in there, and then he goes in and promptly gets himself killed, and I'm like, what did I tell you? Like, god damn it.
do,
To
do you
to be
know
fair,
who?
go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. Do you know who Michael Reeves is?
Who?
Michael Reeves.
The name sounds familiar, but no, I don't think so.
Like he does a lot of stupid shit, but like machines and programming, and mostly electrocutes other people. So
Okay.
he once did like a taser that shocks him each time he gets shot on Fortnite. Why don't you do the same to your brother? Like each time he dies in a game, he gets shocked and he will learn.
He's pretty all right with Mario Bros, so I could do it with him with that. You die in the game, you die for real.
Like you do not even have to build a machine or program it. You buy a fucking taser and you go to him. So go ahead, play, and he dies, and you go and boss him.
Yeah, that way you can have fun too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So yeah,
we used to make tasers out of electric lighters back in the day. That would be perfect because it's just like quick little shock. Just like every time he fucks up, just gotcha.
like fucking cats with water, but a child with electricity.
Yeah,
It seems appropriate.
I mean, I
Do
could give
not
him a
put
shock
your
collar, but that might be inhumane.
I don't know. Like if you get a shock collar, they could just run past the invisible fence.
So yeah, you
All
can train it like that dog. Like do not put your elbows in the on the table.
right.
I've heard that rule so many times, and I don't know anyone who really follows it ever.
The
I
only time
don't.
anybody's ever said that to me was when I was at Disney World and I went to a restaurant that was like it was like themed to be like a 60s slash 70s style diner. And like they had a sign up at the front so people didn't get upset about it, but the sign said like the waitresses will scold you if you put your elbows on the table. And sure enough, they fucking did. But that place had bottomless milkshakes, so they're forgiven.
So, but here's the question: are the waitresses attractive? Is it worth putting your elbows on the table?
It
Oh, like Crab wants a weird sex thing out of it.
was not a
Look,
maid cafe. You're gonna have to go somewhere else for that.
I have fine. Courtney wants to move to Japan anyway. I could probably convince her to go to one.
I gotta be honest, like the people that worked at that restaurant definitely looked like they had been working at that restaurant since that restaurant was not actually a novelty for its age, if that makes sense. When
Oh, like they were
it
old.
wasn't a 70s style diner, it was just a diner.
So what you're saying is you're not gonna find a nice fresh college student there.
Well, I mean, it is also Disney World, so you might not find one working there, but you will find one there at any given moment, I'm sure.
Well, I didn't mean customers. I'm not suggesting go up and stalk
Oh,
other customers.
so you need the authority involved here. You need to
He
know
wants
that
to go
like
up and stalk employees.
Yes, because I need to be the one to give consent. I don't want to have to like ask, "Hey, are you consenting?" It's like, "No, I'm consenting and I want the waitress to be in on it too." And if they're going to scold me, we already know what they want to do.
at a camp I went to one time with no elbows on the table rule, and there was a song we were made to do silly things if we were caught at it. See, I was gonna think like it was like a strict like Catholic sort of summer camp, but the
I have a
song
conspiracy theory about this though. Go ahead though.
the song makes it seem like it's not the case. Anyway, what's your theory?
My conspiracy theory for the whole elbows on the table is that it's a bourgeoisie mechanism to make it to where you sit back and you're more likely to spill food in your lap. That way, when you spill food on your lap, you seem less and less. What's the word? I guess posh, bourgeois, whatever.
Oh, they
And
want you to
so
embarrass yourself.
exactly, it's a mechanism, and so it kind of got ingrained from the pores like me into thinking that it's like, oh man, the posh people do this. It must be the way to do shit. And it's like, no, they're just a bunch of morons, but we follow them anyways because we want to feel like we're rich too.
Well,
You know,
I
first,
think that's probably the reason for the napkin in the lap.
first, I want
I
to say I'm proud of you, Crab, for learning how to pronounce bourgeois.
I
Okay,
mean, for me, it's
Look.
bourgeoisia, but fuck you.
see, there you go. Fallen's more correct now. I grant him correctness.
Like, it's more close to the real word in Spanish than in English. So,
Mhm.
but I'm here sitting, hearing you craft, with all due respect, and that is bullshit. I'm going to be a mess because I know myself, even if I have my elbows on the table or not.
But the thing is, at least it gets spilled on the table and you go wipe it up. If you have it like stuck in your clothes, now you got to go do laundry. You got to get the children's blood out of your clothes
No, no,
now.
no, 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 no. Like, I'm an incompetent human being. I'm going to spill whatever I'm eating, even if I'm using the proper tools or if
So
I have or
so
not.
what you're telling me is we need to give you a sippy cup and we need to wrap the table like around your neck.
Yes.
That's fine. I like sippy cups. You know,
Just
you
make the
know what?
tablecloth into a bib.
That would work too. But that is one thing. We do need to bring back sippy cups into fashion. I liked them when I was a kid, and I still like them, and I think
I
they're
I
really
don't
cool.
I don't think they're out of fashion. Kids use them.
Yeah, but
No.
kids aren't cool. No one cares what kids do. They do Fortnite dances.
What I
Okay.
think you're trying to say is you want to use a sippy cup as an adult. And I think they make water bottles like that. Like a straw just comes out. What's the difference between that and a sippy cup?
It's bigger, and I want something tinier.
If I forget to close my water bottle, then it's gonna spill. That's the difference.
Look, I've got a giant metal water bottle, and it has no top to it, but it does, but I just don't use it, and I'm a lazy motherfucker. But if I
But
get a sippy cup, then it's kind of weird to like drink from it because it like has this weird inward grooves. So it kind of forces me to put a lid on. It's the psychology, man.
no, speaking about kids things or whatever, I find it stupid that, for example, we as adults cannot eat certain candies or do certain things because they are for kids. Like, have you eaten like baby food, like market baby food that is really sweet? It tastes
No, I don't
good.
think so. It looks like it'd be disgusting.
No, but there are ones that are actually good.
Yeah,
But you
there's like
cannot
fruit ones.
exactly.
Yeah, I don't doubt that there's ones that are good, but I definitely do not respond well to the texture of it, which is why I
I'll just
refuse
stick
to
to
do it.
applesauce.
It has nothing
But
to
Yeah,
if
do
I
you
with
don't
the
saw
fact
think
that
me,
it's baby food.
but if you saw me on the streets eating baby food, you are going to mock me because I'm an
Hey,
adult.
I wouldn't, because I've seen other people do it before, and I respect them as a person.
Exactly, because it's my fucking decision and it's food. And the same with the sippy cups. Like, I want one because fuck you, it's my money, it's my life. Go screw yourself.
well,
But
you guys
because
can do both of those things. You just gotta do it at your home. Like you don't gotta
yeah,
be rubbing our noses in your sippy cup
but it
in your
shouldn't be a
baby food.
problem if I'm,
But I
for
gotta rub
example,
my
in a
sippy cup in your nose.
no, like imagine like you got like for example a coffee and you're going home and you have like your CP cup because I don't know you are weird or whatever, and you are in the train drinking it and people is going to judge you because they see you. That first of all you can judge whoever you want, but just do not make it like loud. Like okay, oh look he's weird, but do not make something like oh look he's doing kid stuff. Like mind your fucking business. My problem with those kind of things is that no, it happens a lot in this country. Not in others because society. But for example, if I wear pink Also, you are girly.
Hmm.
Or if I, for example, I'm a house husband, also you are homosexual.
Yes, there's
I
definitely toxic masculinity, but I never really thought about like toxic adultivity at all.
exactly like it's
Well, I
like,
think
oh no,
there's a
look,
fine line, like going and eating baby food in your own house. Sure, that's okay.
If
Going and
he,
hanging out at a playground as a grown man alone, maybe not
but
so okay.
no, yeah, but for example, let's say you have a sandwich for your lunch or whatever, and you go and eat it, and no one is going to say anything to you. But if you have your bottle of baby food because I don't know, you like it, it reminds you about good things or whatever, everyone is going to look you weird.
it reminds
It
me of a simpler time.
exactly, and it happens with Legos, not as much as in the past, but Legos are for children, and
You
Fuck,
you
want a
man,
you know
like
fucking
what this
Lego.
reminds me of?
I want that Super Mario Lego set. Like, I don't care how
Exactly.
old I am.
Yeah,
I
dude, I
have
think you
had
can just play with Legos if you want. You can buy them, dude.
no, yeah, I can,
You're not
and I
gonna turn you
will,
away at the
and I
store.
would. But there is people that is going to look me like, oh, so you are not a responsible adult because you have figurines, you have posters, you have a panda pillow or things like that, because
I'll
those are for
I want a
kids.
panda pillow. I mean, people do that stuff even for me when I play video games. It's like, I don't care. Go
Yeah,
shove your opinions up your ass. I didn't ask for them.
Yeah,
but
no, I get the same from my parents. Like, they're not so bad now, but definitely when, because my dad was 23 and my mom was 21 when they had me. And my dad took that as like, okay, it's time to be an adult. I'm gonna spend the rest of my life sitting here and like betting on sports for an eternity. And like I'm not allowed to do any of the things that I liked as a kid because now I'm an adult with responsibilities. And like I'm still 26 and like I think to myself like, oh yeah, like I'm still a kid. Like I lead the life of a kid. And I remember that I'm 26 and I'm like, man, how much longer can I keep going with this? Like but at no point am I
Hey,
ever
man,
gonna
that's
stop
live
playing
life.
video
At
Do what
games.
least
you
3
want.
more years.
Yeah.
no, you could go like into the 70s or whatever in your life and still doing things from kids or children. Or I do not have any
Just
problem
don't
with
tell
it.
people.
No, my problem is that if I have a personality, I'm not going to shove it in other people's faces. But I do not want to get judged from the things that I do that do not harm others. Like, okay, no, you are using a Nerf gun to shoot people in your workplace. Okay, you are just a jerk. But if I
But I want
play
to
with
do
my,
that.
but if
I
I
want to
play with
shoot
my,
people at work with a Nerf gun. Emphasis on
Man,
with a Nerf gun.
A
you know what
friend of
I miss from
mine.
being a kid? Now,
uh,
What's
now that I have a house with like, I own a garden hose and shit. Man, I wish I could be out there like playing and getting squirted with the garden hose water in the backyard. Like, even just the smell of the hose water brings back like those water fight memories as a kid.
oh
go
yeah.
do it. Like, I
Just
encourage
have
you to
Danny
go do
visit
it.
you and squirt you.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is there's no one, no other consenting adult. It would just be me
But like
running in a sprinkler as a grown man.
we could set up a sprinkler and we'll put up a couple lawn chairs and just sit there and like it'll wash over us and then go back and then keep doing that. We'll just sit there and shoot shit.
Eating edibles.
Hell yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Gonna be some really soggy edibles.
That sounds like the boring adult version of what I said.
I agree with Brett. That sounds like the boring adult version. What you need to do is you need to be jumping around, screaming high pitched, like you're dying, getting wet, and just enjoying being squirted by another man.
And then the
Oh,
police
now you made
comes
it
and
sexual.
I didn't make it sexual. I can use a water gun. It's only sexual if you think like an adult.
actually fair point. But yeah, so
And that's where the conversation died.
uh, but yeah, stop gatekeeping kid things. Like, oh, for example, uh, I have been looked weird when I go to toy stores to buy,
Just,
for example, a car for my miniatures. to do like pieces of terrain or things like that.
You should show them part on the box that says up to 99 years old and be like, I'm within the age range, bitch. Leave me alone.
And then you turn 100, and then it's like, oh man, now I can't play with
Like,
Legos anymore.
I still say you could just order it online and keep your shame hidden.
Not in
No
this
one has to
country.
know.
No one has to be ashamed of it either. But unfortunately, we live in a world where like I go out and junkies tell me that they're more mature than I am when they don't have a place to live or anything like.
They are
It's like,
they
oh,
are
you
more
play
mature.
video games at work? You nerd. Why don't you go shoot up around back like an adult?
They
Yeah,
just
I
want to
found that.
feel better about themselves.
Man, I remember hearing about some like conspiracy theorist who was going on about how like the Illuminati and the New World Order is trying to get people stuck in like a state, what do you call it? Like a suspended childhood where you keep doing kid things perpetually.
Yeah, that's
And it was like, what do you expect? People can only have interest in the things you think are acceptable.
yeah, no, like there's a guy that I met in my undergrad that I still have on Facebook, and I swear at least once a year I message my other friend that also knows him and be like, man, I didn't think that he could go farther off the deep end, but like he continues to impress. And a lot of it is like I am fighting for your freedom, but also you can't do anything that actually makes you free, or else you're part of the fucking new world order that's coming to make the frogs gay.
I mean, I might if those things are true, I'm like, fuck it, that sounds awesome. Make us perpetually childs. I want to be a man child all my life that do not have to worry about anything. In my mind sounds awesome. I get to play with toys in my computer. I do not have to worry about taxes. Fucking Illuminati, get me. Do whatever you want if that is what you are going to do. No, they are going to implant microchips and know what we are going to do. Fucking awesome. They are going to evolve the technology into microchips. Let them do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a line like one of my favorite books is Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, and basically like George Orwell wrote 1984, and Huxley came in and it was like, yeah, no, fuck you. This is how like there's gonna be fucking world takeover. It's not gonna be through like forceful oppression. It's gonna be through appeasement and making people just content with their lives so that they don't question everything else that's going on and all the horrible atrocities that happen around them. You just make people happy, give them a bunch of drugs, let them have their weird fucking orgies, and suddenly like you have everybody under your control. And it's a lot
Brave
easier and
New
a lot
World.
cheaper. Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah, no, Brave New World was I personally think is like what's going on right now is like people are just being fed things to appease them so that they don't actually care about the fact that nothing's really getting done. Like right now in Canada, we're having a whole bunch of stuff go on about indigenous children that were uh like 50 to 100 years ago um were basically taken from their homes and forced into residential schools. And at least from what I learned in high school, apparently this isn't the case for everybody, but I learned in high school that these residential schools were absolutely awful, and like the kids were abused and murdered. And
Yeah, I thought
there's
all that was common knowledge.
yeah, no, like I was well aware of that, and then they're like, "Oh my God, they found 200 students in the bottom, like in a mass grave in the bottom of a residential school," and it's like, okay, like we knew residential schools were shit. How is this surprising? And then everybody's like, oh yeah, like we won't ignore this now. We're gonna acknowledge it. Also, if you celebrate Canada Day, you're a racist because like you need to not celebrate Canada Day because you're celebrating the country that let this happen. It's like you can still be proud of your country, but also at the same time disappointed at the things that we've done in the past. Like no matter, like at no point are we ever going to not be able to get rid of the fact that that happened in the past, but we can continue to move forward and make this country a better place and something that we can be proud of. We can't just be like, oh, this happened in the past. I guess like fuck it, abandon the country. We don't need it anymore. Like the country's not
Dissolve the
going
government.
anywhere. Yeah, no, like, and of course, like the Catholic Church is like completely ignorant of this fact. Like nobody seems to acknowledge the fact that this was largely done by the Catholic Church in Canada and their influence that they had over Canadian politics at the time that allowed them to do this. But it's like, no, you got to be ashamed because like people who you weren't even related to that were on like some part of the country that was not even remotely near where your family's from went and did some horrible things. It's like, man, my
How
family
dare
wasn't even
you.
Canadian at the time when this happened. I got to be honest. Like
Left.
I'm technically from another country if you want to get into it. But like,
Technical question: if I celebrated Canadian Day, I will be racist.
yes, at least if you did it this year. You enjoy a
But
Last year was
firework,
good.
you yeah, last year was fine. We didn't have any problems with being Canadian last year, but like this
but my
year's
question goes deeper.
yeah.
Like, I'm not Canadian. I'm from another country. I'm from another nationality.
So you're
If I
super
celebrate,
racist.
Well, that's definitely one of the main things about Canada Day is that Canada Day has always been a celebration of the fact that Canada is a country of all walks of life. Like you don't have to be born and raised in Canada to celebrate Canada Day. Like if you just moved here or like you're a recent immigrant or something, you can celebrate Canada Day. And it's always been about like, you know, like unity in the fact that we live in the same country, and that's all it really needs to be about. And in my experience growing up, like Canada Day was one of the best experiences that I had growing up, to actually get involved with people that, you know, weren't just generic white people. Like
so someone is going to hear that. Canada Day was my best experience at some point, and they are going to fucking cancel you.
yeah, no, I'm
Yeah, it
canceled at
turns
this
out
point.
Dan was the one who got our podcast canceled.
And it was all because I celebrated Canada Day. I looked at the fireworks on my way to work, and that instilled a sense of white nationalism into me.
I kind of enjoy though the statues they're like defacing and destroying of like the old British royalty.
Yeah, I heard there was a statue of Columbus torn down in Colombia the other day.
When?
I don't know exactly when this was, but I think it was just a few days ago, like earlier this week.
I'm going to Google that because I didn't know that. I know that some statues have been vandalized, but not from Columbus. Cristobal Colon.
Did you have a statue of Columbus? Oh, I guess
Yeah.
Columbia.
No, Colombia isn't called Colombia because of Columbus, but there are statues of him because it's Latin America.
Yeah. BBC
Colombia.
News: Colombian anti-government protesters topple Columbus statue.
Why do you
Okay.
guys love Columbus? What did he do for you?
Nothing. So, Barranquilla. Okay, yeah, it was done 5 days ago.
Yeah.
For our deaths, proclaimed a manifestant that was Columbus was an assassin. And actually, he was, but what can we do? Like that was 300 years ago.
Yeah, no, like I celebrate Leif Erikson Day, so
That's a day?
yeah.
Like,
Well,
how the
it's the
Barranquilla-
same day as Columbus Day, except Leif Erikson's the actual first person to cross the Atlantic Ocean and discover North America.
Like the
God
singer?
damn it! No, I have to This is fucking wild. So I'm going to read it really quick in Spanish and then I'm going to translate, okay? El grupo derribó el monumento de Barranquilla, le puso una capucha a la estatua, una soga al cuello,
This
lo
is the
amarraron
segment
en
for our
cuerdas
Spanish listeners.
y jalaron de ella hasta derribarla, mientras gritaban, Colón es un asesino por nuestros muertos.
I picked out like 3 words.
So, the group that demolished the statue basically executed the statue. They put like a bag on his head and then a rope and then kind of hang them up to throw them to the ground.
Oh
So
yeah,
they
yeah.
literally executed the statue.
So no guillotine? Well, that's boring.
In this country, we didn't know about the guillotine. We have other means of execution, other more fun means of execution. You know?
What is more fun than a guillotine?
Well,
Slitting
the guillotine's
your
only
throat.
fun when
Killing a
you're
rich
French.
person in it?
No, a fun way of an execution on this country that is actually being used from the guerrillas. It's slitting your throat and then pulling your tongue out from there.
Now,
Ooh.
see, that's not fun. That's just painful. Like, it's got like, look,
Yeah, that's the cartel
I
sending a
gotta
message.
admit, I gotta admit, I don't think any form of execution is not painful, but
yes,
yeah,
but what? Okay, but what's more fun, having some dude slowly gargle to death on their own blood because you're a douchebag, or making it nice, quick, and having being able to play soccer with someone's head while blood squirts out their neck
None.
hole?
look, a
None is
guillotine's
more
only a
fun.
guillotine if it comes from the guillotine region of France. Otherwise, it's just sparkling decapitation.
Well,
Okay.
I'm fine with that. I'm okay with sparkling decapitation.
God damn it. So
Man, I
I
didn't
want
know
to
the French were such execution snobs.
I want to get back to the conspiration topic because it's like a really segue to my fucking brother. So there are some fun conspiracy theories that I wish it would be real. Like aliens exist and Area 51 are hiding them from us. Like I wish, you know, it would be great to know that there is something that wants to interact with us, but the governments don't want to let us know because some weird reason. But
Yeah,
if aliens
re-
exist,
real quick, I don't want to cut you off, but when I was at work the other day, I had some dude like hanging around my property, and I asked him politely to leave, and he was like, "All right, sorry, sir." And then halfway on his way out to leave, he looks at me and he's like, "Wait, I'm not gonna listen to you. You're an alien." And he proceeded to go on for like 10 minutes about how I don't belong on this planet and how I'm an alien and like they should have kept me in Area 51. And it wasn't until I told him that I was gonna call my alien buddies to come pick him up again that he actually left.
You just fucked with the wrong alien, dude.
Yeah.
that
You're
is
right, we're
being
gonna
smart.
fuck you up.
You show them like a fucking pencil or a phallic object that don't make me probe you again.
Yeah, I'll see you tonight, big boy.
So there are some conspiracy theories that I wish it will be real, but there are others
Well,
that I say, fuck. Like,
I
how
personally
can
think if some of them are real, like there are aliens here, I bet you Ted Cruz is an alien, 100%.
Guaranteed. I'd put
there are
money on it.
there are some other theories or conspiracy theories that I say you have to be mentally ill to believe this. And this is a segue for to get to my brother and my current situation because he thinks that it doesn't exist like a pandemic. It's a pandemic,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh, isn't there also the
the
scamdemic?
yeah, exactly. And he's a flat earther. And that doesn't go to the point now. The important one is the pandemic. He's the kind of dude that, oh, you are choking yourself on fucking masks. You should go out and make out and do whatever because the government is killing us, just maintaining us outside. And I'm looking at him. I'm 80% of my time I spent it in front of a computer, and I'm more healthy than you. How can you explain that? So I have like this little problem in my house like now that all of my family that is living with me right now uh, had or has COVID-19. My brother in this moment, my not my big brother, my other brother, has COVID-19, but he is asymptomatic, and my parents get struck by it, and I'm taking
Did you
care of
have it?
them. No, actually, they rape my fucking nose with this fucking test that they do. It's
Well, you
fucking
got the
awful.
lobotomy.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
the nose fucking.
Yeah, so I got the lobotomy, so I'm already get like a chip on my brain. Uh,
Sorry,
and
you didn't
it's
need it.
fucking awful.
They put it
Yeah,
in they
but
put it in a little jar, and you get to take it home with you.
exactly. And actually, I took the test 2 times, and the 2 times that I took it, I'm clean. So I haven't been infected.
What
I'm
did they
fucking
do the
clean.
second time? Like, oh, sorry, went the wrong nostril.
No, so the health system of this country really sucks. Like we appointed like the test from the healthcare system of this country, and they didn't come. So we pay for a private medic to come and do it. So that is why I had to, and I was like, okay, might as well. I already paid for this, so go ahead. And so I'm clean, and I'm taking care of my family. And 2 days ago, my mother had the great idea to call my brother and told him everything. And he was, see, I told you they already put a chip on you and you are being controlled and you are sick because you let them do the test to you. And look at your husband, because he's not his father, he's dying because you allow them. So, yeah, he fucking mad and delusional and things like that. And I was like, I took the phone and I was like, I do not have time for this bullshit. Fuck yourself and goodbye. And I hung them up because if I didn't do that, that conversation could go for hours of him screaming at the void. And I'm really best busy taking care of my parents.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to what's the word I'm trying to look for here? To not de-delusionalize, but
Like,
crap, I
bring them
can't think
back
of
to
the
reality.
Yeah,
De-radicalize people.
yeah, that's close enough.
Contextualize.
Yeah, de-radicalize I think is closest to what I'm looking for. But yeah, it's just like you're just screaming at a brick wall if you try to argue with them.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so
like
I was.
I don't talk politics at work, and I've definitely got people that come down and like rant to me about random bullshit, and I just nod and say, yeah, yeah. Also, make sure that you give us a good review on TripAdvisor. But like,
Oh yeah. I had something like that happen too while I went down to get my lease. I had like this dude just these two people just start yelling and threatening to start a fight like 2 feet behind me, and I'm just standing there like, please God, I'm just trying to sign my lease. Just shut the hell up and let me go back home. And then it's like it quiets down for a second and then they start up again. I'm like, God, it's like, don't drag me into this. I don't want to get into a fist fight. I'm not in the mood for this crap.
yeah,
Uh,
I've got one guy at work that like he's not an anti-masker. He's willing to wear his mask in any situation that he's asked to, but
Mm.
he still talks about like why do we have to wear this shit, blah blah blah. Like they said that it doesn't work and this that and the other, and like I've sort of tried to ease him into being like, like this is how the whole mask thing works. This is why there's misinformation about it, stuff like that. But like he's a fast talker. Like he likes when you're in a conversation with him, like he likes to be the one that's actually like leading the conversation. And when you're a guest
Mm.
services representative, just trying to have a smoke with your guest and chat with them and stuff, but like you're not gonna be like trying to put yourself out there to get to like really get things through to this guy. You just let him talk, and it's I
Well,
don't
yeah,
I
Yeah.
you're
don't
never gonna
mind it.
convince them.
Yeah, no, they like there's like I could talk for hours about all the things that I've personally learned and felt about it. And at no point am I ever going to consider myself an authority because I'm not a doctor. I'm not a virologist. Like all this stuff is stuff that I've learned from the internet, from taking the time to actually read into these things. And
Well, the worst part is neither are they.
yeah, exactly. But the difference is that like people like that don't have respect for that authority. Like they think like they don't understand it, and they at that point like they don't think that other people should be able to understand it. So like they just choose to distrust that. And on one hand, like there is a healthy level of distrust for authority, but on the other hand, there's a certain point where you got to be like, okay, like yes, like certain people were lying about certain things, but that doesn't mean that just because these people were lying about stuff means that we're entirely like in the clear, you know? Like just because Anthony Fauci had some emails leak where it was shown that he was lying about masks and their effectiveness and blah blah blah, doesn't mean that masks are 0% effective and we should never wear them again. Like
I mean, even at this point, like I'll always say this: it's like, what if masks are 0% effective, and what if that's wrong too? It's like, who cares at that point? Like, my reasoning is, regardless of what conspiracy might be going on, it's like, who cares?
yeah,
It's a minor inconvenience
Oh,
for.
yeah, you might as well like at least try for other people. But I think that's where the mindset is they're selfish.
yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want to do something that affects them negatively in any kind of way.
Well, like
You know,
when you're part of a community, you have a civic duty to do what you can as part of that community to help keep that community safe. It's not necessarily an obligation, but it is still like a duty that you should recognize as, you know, something that if you want to participate in this community, in this society, you need to be able to
mhm,
do something to put extend that forward. And like at this point, especially here like where we live in Ontario right now, like there's a lot of stuff going on and it's mandatory to
Yeah,
wear
well,
masks to go into businesses and things like that.
mhm,
So if you want to do that, you need to be able to put on that mask. And there's a lot of people that are like, "No, I don't want to do that." And like there is no reasonable explanation why you can't wear a mask for 60 seconds. Like there like if you have a medical exemption, there are alternatives with face shields and other such things. But
mhm.
at the end of the day, like if you don't want to wear a mask on your face for 60 seconds just to be able to buy a pack of smokes from the corner store, like it is increasingly frustrating that like you're only doing this for your own selfishness. Like you don't even care about like protecting people or anything. You just want to be able to stand out from other people by being the dude that doesn't put on his fucking mask and like
Not even that. Like, for example, my take on all of this topic is, okay, you can believe in whatever you want. Like, you want to believe that there are chips on the vaccines? Don't vaccinate yourself. Kill yourself. Fuck yourself. Do whatever you want, but don't oblige me to do the things that you think that are the truth. That I have my truth, I have my beliefs, I have my knowledge, and I'm stand to it. Like we can get into a conversation and you can try to persuade me to believe you, and if you succeed, okay, I'm going to believe you. If not, stop bothering me. But besides all of that, as you said, we live in a fucking society, memes aside.
yeah.
And okay, you like to be naked in your house, you do you. But if you are going to partake in the society, you have to dress if you want to go to the store. The same goes for the fucking mask. If you are going to partake in the society and the fucking store says you have to put a mask to enter, put the fucking mask on. Like, it doesn't matter if you do not believe in it. Like, it's a rule. You have to obey it.
Yeah.
It's a rule to don't rob banks. You follow it because you live in this society and you are agreeing to these rules. By
Yeah, like
you
it's the
being a
cost of doing
citizen,
business.
exactly. By you being a citizen and accepting being a citizen, you are telling the country, the government, or whatever that you have some rights, but you also have some duties that you have to fulfill. Uh, you cannot kill others, and they are going to guarantee your safety. No, but it's really fun to kill people. So don't be a citizen. Don't get a citizenship. Don't get an ID. Get out of the country. Go into the wilderness because you do not want to be part of a society.
Because you'll
That is
find
why, like,
plenty of people to kill out in the wilderness.
yeah, no, I'm not defending them, but for example, there are some indigenous tribes that are carnivorous that people try to like sense of society because they're very dangerous, but they cannot be judged like in a court because they are not part of that society.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's right. I think we should just like exile all the anti-maskers.
Yeah,
on
you
an
know,
Just
island.
ship them into the woods.
An
Just
island.
put a-
Let's just put them in a box. We don't need. They don't like. Eh.
So
Well,
you-
I think they can just wander into the woods. Either they'll die of exposure or they'll form like a leper colony.
I mean,
That
most
sounds fun.
anti-vaxxers are Christian anyway, so you know they might do that, and then they'll wait for their savior to show up.
They'll drink the Kool-Aid.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I don't want to get religion into this, but it's something
Well,
that I hate.
It's all right.
I
We
can-
already
I
talked
can-
about
I can
racism
say-
and religion earlier, so
I could
No,
segue
but-
into something else then, if you want to
No.
avoid religion.
No, it's like a topic that really bugs me because
Just don't be like
it-
Fallen and try and segue with child pornography.
it happens, you know. What can I say? But for example, in this country, like thanks to God, and I'm like, okay, you are grateful and faithful to your religion, but it happens a lot that, for example, the medic save your life, or someone it's cooking and it's happening to me in this house, and I'm like, you're welcome, I guess. Thanks to God that we can eat today. And I did nothing. I didn't put my money, or I didn't cook, or you know. I know that you are very faithful, but God aside, thank the people that is actually doing things. And then if you want to go, thank God at your place, go ahead. But there is a saying that goes in this country that Dios le pague. In English will be that God pays you. Like, okay, you know, thank you, but fuck you. Like, I do not have
Yeah.
money, or I do not have enough gratitude. So that dude that is really not material, and maybe you believe or not in him, he's going to pay you. Yeah, he's going to loan the check. Like, be grateful with the people. I'm not telling you do not be religious, do not believe in Jesus Christ, on Buddha, on Allah, or whatever entity that you believe. Just be
Don't
grateful
be a
with other
twat.
people. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
no, thanks to God that he saved my life. Screw the fucking doctor that went 24 hours trying to do a surgery on you. Screw him because he doesn't matter. That is something that bugs me out a lot. Like,
His hand was
ugh.
guided by God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he says
like-
do this, mother shit. Like,
Yeah.
ugh.
There's someone in my hotel right now who's been proselytizing. I think that's how that word is pronounced. Basically, like, she's going around like handing out like this like hardcore Catholic propaganda to other guests and to staff, and I had to have a conversation with her because nobody else would, to be like, hey, you can't do this here. Like, in case you didn't notice, we don't even have Bibles in the hotel rooms, which is like a thing that most hotels do, but we refuse. But yeah, like, she's going around handing out like these pamphlets, and every time I see them, like, it's a completely different one. Like, it's not like she's handing out the same pamphlet to everybody. Like, she's giving out
She's
all
putting
sorts of
work.
stuff. And the one she gave me on my last night of work was like this comic book, and I'm going through it, and it's basically like this woman talking with this pastor about like, and this pastor's going on about like, you're going to hell, you're a sinner, like, you don't understand. But unless like if you choose to let Jesus in your life, then you won't go to hell, and so on. And like, it's going on about like, oh, religion is a sin because like all they care about is themselves, and so on. But at the end of the book, they're like, yeah, you should join the Catholic Church because like, you know, we'll be able to save you from God. And then it's like, and then it even acknowledges it. Like the woman in the comic that this guy is talking to is like, but isn't that just religion itself? And he's like, no, this is accepting Jesus into your life, but also come to the church. And
Like,
They need
go
your
ahead.
money.
yeah, it was like the whole comic book was filled with logical inconsistencies about
At least
like
it was
this.
well drawn.
Yeah, I mean, it was entertaining to say the least, but like, I don't think it's ever gonna convert me to another religion. Gotta be
It was
honest.
a good meme.
It was also like it was very fucking racist too. Like, it wasn't overtly racist. Like, you know, nothing was like very explicit with its racism, but like when it's talking about other religions, it's like here's like a shitty stereotypical caricature of a Jewish person, and here's a shitty stereotypical
No,
character.
wait. Fuck that. Stereotypical about Jewish? Jesus Christ was Jewish.
Yeah, I
What is
know.
wrong with
Yeah, it was the Jesus picture.
Yeah, no, like they very clearly got like stamping every fucking criteria for like the stereotypical Jewish cartoon character, and like same with like the Middle Eastern Muslim guy, like, you know, guy's like wearing a turban and got a huge beard and like shaded in with darker skin and has like weird eyes and stuff, and it's like, yeah, that looks like some like very ignorant white person tried to draw somebody who they thought was Muslim. Like,
You mean Saddam Hussein or Osama bin
I,
Laden?
yeah, pretty
I
much.
was going to say Saddam Hussein, but you got me on that.
Oh man, somebody. This is completely unrelated, but somebody booked a room at my hotel under the name Uday Hussein, which is the same name as Saddam Hussein's son, who's known for being like completely fucked up. Um, and like I believe the guy's dead at this point, but at the time I read that, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to be working while Uday Hussein's staying at my hotel.
I'm sure he's a cool guy. Don't judge a person by their beard.
You saw the fucking name and you call your manager. Can I take the day?
Yeah, I don't know if I feel comfortable with a foreign national wielding an assault rifle in my hotel.
But yeah,
I think
like,
that's close to a terrorist, even if they're white.
Well, he is from
Yeah,
Iran, or
I
I
don't know
forget.
about that. We've had that happen in the States recently, and we've been struggling to get them labeled as terrorists for a while.
I think they're finally starting to start.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's smart and doesn't, you know, listen to a bunch of stupid propaganda, but
Okay, I just had to confirm that for myself. Uday Hussein was assassinated in 2003.
just to be safe.
just to make sure they're dead and it's not their zombie coming back to haunt our hotel.
He is not going to see this podcast and kill me.
Yeah.
But no, getting back into the topic, like, I really envy the people that is really faithful. Like, don't get me wrong, but it seems fun. They seem happy, and being able to feel that feeling seems awesome. And I kind of envy them for being able to do that. And I encourage anyone to be faithful, to believe in your God if you have one God, and be grateful to your God if that is in your like manners or your tradition. But do not underestimate or dismerge others in the name of God. Like,
Yeah.
acknowledge people. People need acknowledgement and they deserve respect. And
Well,
please do
like
not indoctrinate or abduct people. Please.
yeah. Respect other people's rights to be able to practice their own faith as your right to practice your faith is extended to you. and love thy neighbor and so on, and recognize that not everybody feels the same way as you. And it like if people thinking the same way as you is your criteria for being able to like engage in conversation with them, like you're just a shitty person in general. It doesn't matter what you think. Like you can think all like the right things in life, and it still makes you a shitty person because you're not willing to have that conversation with other people, and you're willing to shun people because they don't think the same way as you. And that's awful. Don't do that. Be a nice person.
I'm thinking of the summary of tonight's like session, and we started with child pornography and ended with be a great
No,
person.
you started with child pornography.
Let's be clear here. But no, I did not
Okay.
put child pornography in my talking notes. But like this stream has basically been me having to sit back and be like, what's a good way to sum up what we're talking about in 2 words?
Not child pornography.
Yeah.
Jerking off.
Utter bullshit.
But yeah. So anyone wants to add something?
Yeah, so I feel like we didn't really touch on how your parents are doing with COVID. So I asked you before the show, what would you say to an anti-vaxxer who says COVID is just the flu?
I I do not wish bad ill to no one, but I will tell them go get the flu and tell me what happens. Because I don't know how to put this in a polite way, so screw it. But the only fucking way for that kind of people to acknowledge what is happening is if they go through it. So go get the flu and tell me how much fun did you have.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like most people that complain about it, like have probably never actually gotten the flu. Like they've probably gotten a bad cold and thought it was the flu, and like have never actually been through having a flu virus. Like even that fucking sucks. And you tell me that COVID's worse? Like I'm not even gonna touch that. Like I've had the
And
flu
something
I
that I
think
love,
twice in my life. And one time it
something that I
developed
love.
into sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but like one time it developed into pneumonia, and like that was like one of the worst times of my entire goddamn life. And another time it was just like super depressing. Like I had a cold and I let it sit there and it developed into a flu and it was awful. But
Mhm.
Well, apparently
sorry.
if you get it and you get it really bad, like the symptoms will fuck with you for like months.
Oh yeah.
Or even life if you do not treat it. Like you can get sick sequels, respiratory problems,
Oh,
physical
I meant like
problems.
COVID, not like pneumonia in general, just like
No, both. Even COVID
yeah.
can leave you with things for your whole life.
Yeah, like
There
there's
is
young people that are walking away from getting COVID with COPD, which is something that like before COVID was only really something that like 50-year-old pack-a-day smokers got after like, not like smoking 1 or 2 packs of smokes a day for 30 years. Like this is a ridiculous thing, and people are just like young people who have never touched like have had perfect lungs their entire lives are suddenly completely debilitated because they had COVID for a couple weeks. And it's
or
like,
they had to use oxygen their whole life.
yeah, and then
Yeah,
like
that's people on like the oxygen tanks, right?
yeah,
Mhm.
and you've got people that are like, oh, like here's the death rate of COVID, like it's not that bad, and it's like it's not just about death rate, like yeah, like old people and young children die of the flu and COVID, and like
HIV doesn't have like a high death rate, like,
yeah, no, like
and
people
that
don't
is a
die of
problem.
like people don't die of AIDS. They die of AIDS related causes because
Mhm.
AIDS is not what kills you. It's getting sick after you have AIDS. Like,
Mhm. Exactly.
and that's as someone who's not a medical professional, like that's just a very brief summary of it, but like that doesn't make AIDS any less worse. Same thing with COVID. Not that they're necessarily on the same level, but like COVID is awful and has lasting effects on people. And to be completely ignorant of that fact is to, just be completely ignorant of the safety of your community, going back to, civic duty and things like that. But it's mostly just like it's been missteps and miscommunication from the government and media and like the organizations like the World Health Organization that should have our best interests in minds but clearly don't. And a lot of people are struggling with like even like just recently discovering the ability to have distrust in your government. And I feel like the fact that I've distrusted the government since I was a teenager makes it a lot easier for me to accept that COVID is a real thing, which feels kind
Yeah,
of ironic.
some like argument that an active anti-masker or like someone that says that COVID isn't true has it's like COVID is it's a bio weapon made from the government, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to choose to believe that that is truth. Wouldn't you want to put a fucking mask then?
Yeah,
Like
no,
you know.
like I don't doubt that like honestly with the evidence that has come out, I don't doubt that COVID-19 was genetically engineered in a lab and like got out either accidentally or on purpose or whatever. But at that point, like I'm not surprised. I definitely had that thought when I was a teenager. Like, oh man, like I bet the government's working on like some weird bioweapon bullshit that like we're never gonna find out about until it's too late. And like I'm not surprised about it. You know, it's like, oh yeah, like that just confirmed a thought that I had like 10 years ago when I was a kid. Like, not this is not blowing my mind in any way, shape, or form. It goes. It's the same as the indigenous children. I knew that we were shitty to them. Finding out that there's more people that were treated shittily doesn't change the fact that we were shitty to them. Like,
Exactly.
and like sure there's a lab in Wuhan and blah 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 and like they've been studying coronavirus and things like that, and it's like, yeah, well, like coronavirus is a type of flu anyway. Like a lot of people like don't even understand how flu and virus classification even works. And it's like, oh yeah, COVID's just a flu, and it's like, yeah, so was SARS. Like, and SARS, like back in the day, it wasn't as contagious, but that fucked you up. Like that was a violent flu, from what I understand, and it's still a flu, but and
Fuck
like
it,
the
even
black
a cold can
like
be
I
dangerous.
I
Sorry
oh
for
yeah
interrupting you.
I got a good question for you guys.
Uh-huh.
So you think back to December of 2019, or let's say January, February 2020. Did you
Mhm.
see the news and think this was going to happen?
yes,
I already knew that
absolutely.
it was going to happen. Like
Yeah,
when COVID was only.
I was following all the numbers from China, and I was like, "Oh, clearly this is going to be big if they're fucking welding people into their houses."
Exactly.
Yeah, well,
I
like
was like in 2019 looking at the news. China has this overpowered virus going wild, and I'm going to be if that shit gets out of China, we're going to be in closure at least 3 years.
yeah, and
At least.
like I definitely saw it beforehand because like prior to that I had been following a lot of like Hong Kong protest stuff because like they recently cracked down on Hong Kong and blah blah blah, and that's a whole other story. Anyway, like those were the news agencies that I had seen that like had been speaking out against the Chinese government, and they were the ones that started talking about like coronavirus and like this sickness that's spreading around China like back in December of 2019. And they like at that point I'm like, oh yeah, like that doesn't sound good. Like I remember SARS, like let's hopefully not have that again, but I don't exactly have a whole lot of hope. And, you know, around February, they start posting more articles, and it's like, yeah, China has no plans on closing borders or restricting like people's movement or anything like that during Chinese New Year of 2020, which is, you know, like February, March area. And also like one of the biggest traveling times in the year, as a lot of Chinese people travel back to China, or even just tourists travel to China to witness the events of Chinese New Year, because it's one of the biggest events in the world in terms of holidays. So I first saw articles that are like, yeah, like they're not planning on closing. Like this is going to be a bad thing. Like people, like this is going to spread across the world. Sure enough, it did. And then people are going on about conspiracies about like, oh, like China manufactured this and like they're trying to fuck everybody up and stuff. And it's like, no, like the only conspiracy theory here is that China did not want to close their borders before their biggest economic period of the year. That's it. And
Yeah.
because they didn't want to do that, now suddenly like everybody's sick and everybody's
And
got to deal with the consequences, and nobody wants to point the finger at China because they're funding money into like literally everything.
the
And
worst part is that the solution at the start was close yourself for 15 days.
yeah,
Literally. And no one made, okay, no one. I don't want to brag, but I did. I closed myself on my house from 2 fucking years, more or less. But the social and economic impact that this had at the start was like 15 days we're going to be bankrupt and whatnot, and look at now, like, okay, 15 days it will be nothing in comparison.
yeah, no. At this point, we've been waiting like 15 months. You know, what's another few days? Like my coworker
Yeah.
was complaining about how he like he booked his shot, and then he's like, oh, my friend booked the shot on the same day, and like she got it like a few days earlier. And I was hoping that like I was trying to call them to reschedule it to see if I could get it like on Friday instead of Monday and so on. I was like, we've been waiting this long and you're concerned about 3 days? What the fuck, dude? Like, come on. Just be thankful that you can actually get it. Like at the time when he booked it, like not everybody could even register to get the vaccine. Like, and he's sitting there complaining about how he's got to wait 3 extra fucking days. Like, come on, dude.
I'm here sitting being like, it would be nice if they stop disappearing the vaccines from this country.
Yeah.
But yeah, details, I guess. Uh, but yeah,
All right. We should probably wrap up. We're approaching 100 minutes, and we usually have a 90-minute. Well, I say usually when this is episode 2, but a 90-minute time limit is what's recommended.
Well, now we're statistically on a 95-minute.
Yep. All right. But yeah. I don't know if anybody has any final thoughts, anything coming up that they want to share with the world that, you know, probably won't get shared with anybody until like 6 months from now, and people actually listen to this podcast.
be grateful to each other and excellent one another.
Don't
Fever
be a
dreams
twat.
suck.
I don't know. I think fever dreams are pretty fun sometimes.
Get vaccinated. Don't be racist. Don't be too woke for your position.
if you are an
Don't-
if you are an FBI agent, there wasn't child pornography. I swear.
Just make sure to scan this video frame by frame. You never know for certain.
Yeah, you never know. There could be one frame out of like the 120 per second that could have child porn on it.
And then when you
120%.
find out there's not, smash that like button.
Exactly.
Subscribe.
Like us because we don't like child porn.
There you go. That's a good reason to like somebody. You're not a pedophile. Good. We're already off to a good start.
To each other. Party
Okay,
on,
so
dudes.
to summarize that, you can say hello to my FBI agent as the first topic.
All right, we've got something to talk about next month. So yeah, that's going to be it for the podcast. Thanks for coming out, everybody. Everybody have a wonderful
Right.
night.
I think
And
most podcasts happen more than once a month.
not the ones that I listen to, but that may just be me. But we'll talk about that at another time. Have a good night, everybody, and I'll talk to you guys later.